There is a particular exhaustion that comes from being swept along by your own feelings. You wake in the morning and the first thought carries a mood. That mood colors the next thought. Soon you are not observing sadness or irritation or worry. You are sad, you are irritated, you are worried. The emotion is not something passing through. It has become what you are. This is not dramatic suffering. It is the quiet fatigue of a mind that cannot rest. Every feeling demands your full attention. Every shift in mood feels like a change in who you are. You ride the swells and drops, and somewhere beneath the tiredness, a question forms. Is this all there is? Must I be carried by every wave that moves through me? The Buddha spoke often of a river, not as a metaphor for time, but as a way of seeing experience itself. A river moves. It carries leaves, branches, soot. The water does not stop to ask if it should carry these things. It simply flows. And what the river carries is not the river. Right now, you can notice your breath. You do not have to change it. Simply feel the coolness as air enters. Feel the warmth as it leaves. The breath has been with you since you began listening. It did not wait for permission. It did not ask if you were ready. It continued. Beneath the breath, you might notice the body, the weight of your shoulders, the temperature of your hands. These sensations are also here. They do not shout. They simply are. And if you bring your attention to them, even for a moment, something shifts. You are noticing. You are aware. And that which is aware is not the same as that which is noticed. This is where the practice begins, not in transcendence, not in rising above your emotions, but in recognizing a simple truth the mind often forgets. You are not what flows through you. When sadness arises, the mind contracts around it. Thought after thought confirms the sadness. Memories that match the mood surface easily. The body responds, the chest tightens, the breath shortens, and in all of this, a silent assumption takes hold. I am this. This sadness is me. But if you pause, if you bring attention to the experience itself, you notice something. The sadness is a feeling in the body. It is a quality of thought. It is a mood that colors perception, and all of these are observable. You can feel the tightness. You can notice the thoughts, you can sense the mood, which means there is something here that is not the sadness. There is awareness itself. The river flows. What it carries changes moment to moment. A branch floats by, then a leaf, then clear water, then soot. If you stood on the bank and believed you were each thing the river carried, you would be exhausted. You would lurch from identity to identity, never resting. But you are not in the river. You are watching it flow. This does not mean emotions are unimportant. It does not mean you should ignore them or push them away. The branch in the river is real. The leaf is real. But the river does not become the branch. It allows the branch to move through. It does not cling. It does not resist, it flows. You can bring this quality of attention to your own experience. When irritation arises, you do not have to fix it or justify it or make it go away. You can notice it. You can feel where it lives in the body. You can observe the thoughts it generates. And in the noticing, there is space. The irritation is no longer the whole sky. It is weather moving through. The Buddha taught that clinging is the root of suffering. We cling to pleasant feelings, wanting them to stay. We push away unpleasant feelings, wanting them to leave. And in both the grasping and the pushing, we forget what we are. We forget that awareness itself is untouched by what it holds. This is not a teaching you accept on faith. It is something you discover by looking. Right now, there may be a feeling present, perhaps calm, perhaps restlessness, perhaps curiosity. Whatever is here, you can turn your attention toward it, not to change it, not to understand it, simply to observe it, to feel it, to notice that it is here and that you are noticing. The river continues. It has no destination. It does not try to become something other than what it is. and what it carries will change again and again without end. Your practice is not to stop the river. It is not to control what floats by. It is to remember again and again that you are not what the river carries. You are the open space in which all of this occurs. You wake with a weight in your chest. The feeling is so thick, so familiar, that you don't even question it. You think, I am anxious. Not, I feel anxious, but I am. The emotion and the self have merged. There's no daylight between them. This happens with anger too, with sadness, with restlessness. The feeling arrives and immediately you become it. You carry it through the morning, into conversations across the day. It colors everything. And because it feels so total, so consuming, you believe this is simply who you are right now. Maybe who you've always been. The Buddha offered a different view. He said that feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is the anchor, not the feelings themselves, the breath. This is not a metaphor meant to dismiss what you feel. The sadness is real, the anger is real. But real does not mean permanent. Real does not mean you. Think of the sky for a moment. On a stormy day, the clouds are thick and dark. They cover everything. From the ground, it looks like the sky is the storm. But if you've ever been in an airplane, you know what happens when you rise above the weather. The clouds are there, yes, but they're moving. They have edges, and above them the sky is clear and still. Your awareness is like that sky. The emotions are the weather systems moving through. Some are brief, a gust of irritation, a passing moment of delight. Others settle in for hours, even days. But they are still weather. They are still moving. The problem is that we stand on the ground and forget the sky exists. We see only the clouds. We feel only the storm. And so we say, I am this storm. Conscious breathing is the thread that leads you back. Not because the breath fixes anything, not because it makes the clouds disappear, but because it reminds you that you are not the weather. You are the space in which the weather occurs. You don't have to believe this right away. You can test it. Today or tomorrow or whenever you remember, try this. Notice one emotion as it arises. It might be small. A flicker of impatience in line at the store. A wave of worry before a meeting. A sudden softness when you see someone you love. When you notice it, name it silently. Just once. This is impatience. This is worry. This is tenderness. Not, I am impatient. Not, I am worried. But this is. The difference is subtle, but it matters. When you say, this is fear, you've created a small gap. The fear is here. You are here. But you are not the same thing. You might feel the fear in your chest, tight and hot. You might notice your breath getting shallow. That's fine. You're not trying to push the fear away. You're just naming it, recognizing it as a visitor. And visitors leave. You don't have to make them leave. You don't have to fix anything or understand why the emotion came. You're simply noticing that it arrived and that you are the one noticing. This is the anchor. Not the breath alone, but the awareness that can observe the breath. The awareness that can say, here is sadness, and still be steady. Some emotions will pass quickly once you name them. Others will stay. That's all right. You're not practicing to make them go faster. You're practicing to stop collapsing into them. To stop saying, I am this feeling, when what's true is, I am aware of this feeling. Over time, this becomes easier. Not because you've mastered your emotions, but because you've remembered the sky. You've remembered that no matter how dark the clouds, they are temporary. They are not the whole of what you are. Even now, as you read this, something is present. Maybe calm, maybe doubt, maybe curiosity. Notice it if you can. Name it once, gently, and then feel the breath. One breath, then another. The weather moves. The sky remains. You feel anger rise in your chest, and instantly you are angry. You notice sadness, and before you can take another breath, you are sad. The feeling arrives, and you collapse into it so completely that there is no distance, no room, no you apart from it. This happens quickly, so quickly that it feels like one motion. The heat in your face is anger. The tightness in your throat is fear. The heaviness in your limbs is grief. You do not experience the emotion, you become it, and once you become it, the emotion takes over. It moves your thoughts, it chooses your words. It shapes what you see and what you cannot see. You are inside it now, and it is hard to remember that a moment ago you were not. But there is something the old Zen teachers noticed. They said that between the arising and the naming there is a gap, a small space, a pause so brief you might never see it unless you are looking. The feeling comes first. Then, a fraction later, the mind names it. And in that naming, you step inside, you take ownership. You say, I am angry, and the identification is complete. But before that naming, there is a moment. The sensation is present, but the story has not yet begun. The heat is there, but anger has not yet been spoken. The tightness is there, but fear has not yet wrapped around it. That gap is not empty. It is full of awareness. It is the space where you still have room to see. Think of music. Between two notes there is silence. The silence is not a mistake. It is not absence. It gives the notes their shape. Without it, there would be no melody, only noise. The silence holds the music together. Awareness is like that silence. It exists before the label arrives. The emotion arises, and awareness is already there, noticing. But the moment you name it, the moment you say, this is anger or this is sadness, you step out of the silence and into the story. The story is loud. It has reasons and causes. It has a past and a future. It has someone to blame and something to fix. The story is convincing. But it is not the first thing that happened. The first thing was sensation, warmth, pressure, tightness, a shift in the body. That is all. The rest came after. You do not need to stop the naming. You do not need to fight the labels or pretend you do not feel what you feel. You only need to notice that there is a gap, a breath, a small opening. When an emotion arises, wait, not forever. Just 3 breaths. Do not name it yet. Do not decide what it is or what it means. Just feel it. Notice where it lives in your body. Notice if it is hot or cool, heavy or sharp, moving or still. 3 breaths. That is all. In the first breath, the sensation is strong. It wants to be named. It wants to pull you in. Let it be strong. You are only breathing. In the second breath, the sensation is still there. But now you are noticing it, not drowning in it. You are aware that you are aware. In the third breath, something shifts. The sensation has not disappeared, but you are no longer inside it. You are with it. You are seeing it. And in that seeing, there is space. This is not a trick to make emotions go away. They will still come. They will still be felt. But you will not vanish into them so completely. You will not become them without pause. The gap is always there. You have only been moving too fast to notice it. When you slow down, even slightly, the gap reveals itself. And in that gap, you remember. You are not the anger. You are the one noticing the anger. You are not the sadness. You are the awareness in which sadness appears. This is not a thought you think. It is something you see directly in the silence between the arising and the naming. You feel the heat rise in your chest. Someone said something careless, and now your heart is pounding. Or maybe it's sadness, thick and heavy, settling into your shoulders like wet cloth. The emotion arrives, and before you know it, you are inside it. You are the anger. You are the sadness. There is no gap, no distance. You've jumped into the river without noticing the bank. This happens to all of us. An emotion moves through, and we step into its current. We believe what it tells us. We become what it shows us. The feeling says, "This is who you are right now," and we agree. We forget that feelings are weather. We forget that they move. In the Theravada tradition, there is a teaching that points to something simple. The wise person observes feelings as they observe the breath, present but not possessed. You do not own your breath. You do not control it. You simply notice it coming and going. The same is true for emotion. It arises, it passes. You can be present for it without becoming it. This is not about pushing feelings away. It is not about pretending they don't matter. It is about learning where you stand. Right now, you are standing in the middle of the river. The water rushes around you, pulls at your legs, fills your ears. You cannot see clearly. You cannot move freely. You are caught. But there is another place to stand. Imagine sitting on the riverbank. The water is still there. It still flows. But you are not in it. You can see the current. You can notice its speed, its color, the way it changes. You are close enough to feel the coolness in the air, but you are not swept away. This is what mindfulness offers. Not distance in the sense of coldness or disconnection. Just a small space. Just enough room to see that the emotion is here and you are here. And they are not the same thing. You can begin with something very small. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. You do not need a cushion or a special room. Just sit. Let your body settle. Then bring your attention to the sensations in your body. Not your thoughts about your body. Not the story of how you feel. Just the sensations themselves. Maybe there is tightness in your jaw. Maybe your stomach feels knotted. Maybe your hands are cool or warm. Notice these things the way you would notice the temperature of water when you dip your hand in. You are not trying to fix anything. You are not trying to make the sensations go away. You are simply noticing. When an emotion is present, it always lives in the body first. Before the mind names it, before the story begins, there is sensation. Pressure, heat, heaviness, fluttering. If you can meet the sensation directly without immediately calling it anger or fear or sadness, something shifts. You are no longer inside the emotion. You are sitting beside it. This takes practice. The habit of jumping in is strong. You will forget. You will find yourself in the middle of the river again, soaking wet, wondering how you got there. That is fine. It is not a failure. It is just what happens. When you notice, you can step back to the bank. You can sit down again. You can return to the body, to the breath, to the simple fact of sensation. The difference between experiencing and becoming is this. Experiencing says, there is anger here. Becoming says, I am angry. Experiencing says, sadness is present. Becoming says, I am sad. The first leaves room. The second closes the door. You do not need to believe your emotions are unreal. They are real. They matter. But they are not you. They are movements in the river. You are the one who can sit and watch. You are the awareness that holds it all. When you know this, even for a moment, the grip loosens. The current is still strong, but you are no longer drowning in it. There is a kind of exhaustion that comes from fighting your own feelings. You wake with anxiety and immediately you want it gone. Sadness arrives and you push it away. Anger flares and you tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way. Meanwhile, when joy appears, you try to hold it close to make it last. You treat your inner life like a border crossing, checking papers, deciding who gets in and who must leave. This creates a second layer of suffering. The emotion itself is one thing, the war against it is another. There is an old teaching rooted in the Mahayana tradition that offers a different way. It suggests you welcome all visitors to the house of your heart, knowing none will stay forever. Not as a moral command, not as something you should do, but as a simple recognition of what is already true. Your awareness is like a guest house. Emotions are travelers passing through for the night. Some are pleasant, some are difficult. Some arrive quietly, others knock loudly, demanding attention. But none of them own the house, none of them are permanent residents. When you reject an emotion, you are still in relationship with it. You are still giving it your energy, your attention, your resistance. The feeling does not leave because you wish it away. It often grows stronger, more insistent, like a guest who senses they are not wanted. When you cling to an emotion, trying to keep it close, you're also creating tension. You are asking something temporary to be permanent. You are asking a traveler to stay when they were only passing through. Both rejection and clinging come from the same misunderstanding. You believe the emotion is the problem. You believe you must control it, manage it, fix it. But the emotion is not the problem. The problem is the belief that you must be at war with your own experience. So there is a practice, very simple, very quiet. When an unwanted emotion arrives, you can say internally, "You are welcome here for now," not because you like the feeling, not because you want it to stay, but because it is already here, because resistance does not make it leave, because welcoming does not mean surrendering to it or becoming it. It means acknowledging what is true in this moment. You might try this with something small first, a flicker of irritation, a moment of restlessness. Notice the feeling in your body. Notice where it lives, the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face, the tension in your shoulders. Then, quietly, without force, say the words, "You are welcome here for now." You are not inviting the emotion to take over. You are not asking it to stay. You are simply opening the door. You are letting it be a guest instead of an intruder. When you do this, something shifts. The emotion does not necessarily disappear, but the struggle around it begins to soften. You are no longer fighting. You are no longer clinging. You are simply aware. You are the space in which the feeling moves. This is equanimity, not indifference, not numbness, but a steady, open presence that can hold all weather. The guest house does not collapse when a storm arrives. It does not chase after the sunshine when it fades. It remains, it holds, it allows. You might notice over time that emotions do pass, not because you pushed them away, not because you held them close, but because that is their nature. They arise. They stay for a while. They fade. Like travelers on a road, they were never meant to settle. And you, the awareness, the guest house itself, remain. You are not the anger. You are not the sadness. You are not the joy. You are the space in which all of these can appear and dissolve. When a difficult emotion comes now, you do not have to fight. You do not have to fix. You can simply open the door. You can say the quiet words. You can let the traveler rest for the night, knowing morning will come and they will move on. You feel anger rising, and within seconds you are rehearsing what you will say. You feel sadness, and immediately you are inside the story of why you are sad, who caused it, what it means about your life. The emotion arrives, and the mind rushes in with words, reasons, memories, predictions. You live in that story. You believe you are feeling the emotion, but mostly you are thinking it. The Buddha pointed to something quieter. Before the mind creates a story, the body simply feels. Return to that first knowing. This is not a trick of distraction. It is a return to what is actually happening before interpretation takes over. The emotion does not begin in your thoughts. It begins as a tightness in the chest or warmth in the face before words arrive. It begins as a heaviness in the belly, a sharpness behind the eyes, a flutter near the throat. These sensations are real. They are present. But they are not the story. When you stay with the story, the emotion feeds itself. One thought leads to another. You remember the last time this happened. You imagine what might happen next. The feeling grows larger because the mind keeps adding fuel. The narrative becomes so convincing that you forget there is anything else. But the body knows something simpler. It knows pressure, temperature, tightness, trembling. It does not know betrayal or failure or injustice. Those are interpretations. The body only knows sensation. Next time you feel strong emotion, pause. Do not try to stop the feeling or fix it. Just locate it in your body. Where do you feel it most clearly? Is it in your chest, your shoulders, your jaw? Is it hot or cold? Does it pulse or does it press? Stay with the sensation itself. This is harder than it sounds. The mind will want to return to the story. It will say, yes, but this happened because, or I feel this way because. Notice that pull. It is strong. The mind is used to narrating, but you do not have to follow. You can stay with the raw feeling in the body. When you do this, something shifts. The emotion does not disappear, but it loses some of its weight. It becomes less solid. You begin to see that the sensation itself is not the problem. The sensation is just energy moving through the body. It is the story that makes it unbearable. You might notice that the sensation changes. It moves, it softens or sharpens. It fades and returns. This is impermanence at the most immediate level. The body is always shifting. When you stay close to sensation, you feel that movement. You are no longer frozen inside a single story. You might also notice that the sensation does not define you. You are the one noticing it. There is awareness and there is the feeling. They are not the same. This is a quiet kind of freedom. You are not the anger. You are not the sadness. You are the space in which these things arise and pass. This practice is not about becoming numb. It is about becoming honest. The story often lies. It tells you that this feeling will last forever, that it means something final about who you are. The body tells the truth. It says, right now there is tightness. Right now there is heat. That is all. You do not need to do this perfectly. You do not need to stay with the sensation for a long time. Even a few seconds of returning to the body interrupts the cycle. Even one breath taken while noticing the pressure in your chest is enough to create a gap. In that gap, you are not identified. You are simply present. Over time, this becomes easier. You begin to catch the emotion earlier, before the story takes over completely. You feel the first flutter of anxiety and you place your attention there, in the body, before the mind starts listing everything that could go wrong. You feel the first spark of anger and you notice the heat in your face, the tension in your hands before you begin the argument in your head. This is not suppression. You are not pushing the emotion away. You are meeting it more directly than you ever have. You are feeling it as it actually is, not as the mind says it is. The sensation will pass. It always does. And when it passes, you will know something the story could never teach you. You will know that you can be with what arises without being consumed by it. You feel anger rising in your chest. You notice it, you name it, and then something curious happens. You begin to treat it like a thing you possess. My anger, my frustration, as if it arrived in a container with your name on it. This sense of ownership feels natural. Emotions seem to have clear identities. Anger is anger. Sadness is sadness. They appear to begin at a specific moment and end at another. You track them like weather systems moving across a map. But there is a teaching in Zen that asks you to look more closely. Look at anger, it says. Where does it begin? Where does it end? It has no edges. This is not philosophy. This is an invitation to observe what is actually happening in your experience. Sit with anger the next time it appears, not to fix it or release it, but simply to watch. Notice the heat in your face. Notice the tightness in your jaw. Notice the thoughts that arise, sharp and certain. Now try to find the exact moment anger began. Was it the word someone said? Was it the thought that followed? Was it the sensation in your body? If you look carefully, you will see that what you call anger is not one thing. It is a stream of sensations, thoughts, and impulses moving together. Try to find where anger ends and something else begins. Perhaps the heat fades and you feel tired. Perhaps the tightness softens and you notice sadness underneath. But when did anger stop being anger? When did it become something else? It is like trying to grasp the exact moment dawn becomes day. You can point to darkness. You can point to full daylight. But the transition itself has no border you can draw. The sky does not announce when night has ended. It simply brightens, slowly, in 1,000 gradations of grey and gold. Emotions move this way. They do not have the solid boundaries you imagine. They blend into one another. They shift in texture and intensity. What you call anger might contain fear, hurt, and exhaustion all at once. What you call sadness might carry relief, tenderness, and clarity. When you believe emotions have fixed identities, you relate to them as objects. You try to keep the present ones and push away the painful ones. You think, if you can just manage them correctly, you will be free. But the problem is not the emotions themselves. The problem is the belief that they are solid things that belong to you. Watch one emotion closely. Choose something small if you like. Irritation when you are waiting in line. Disappointment when a plan changes. Sit with it for a few breaths and try to locate its edges. Notice the sensations in your body. Are they sharp or dull, moving or still? Notice the thoughts that accompany them. Are they stories or images or single words? Notice how quickly everything shifts. A sensation intensifies, then fades. A thought appears, then dissolves. You are not trying to make the emotion go away. You are simply seeing it clearly. You are looking for the thing you have been calling anger or sadness or fear and discovering that it is not one thing at all. This is the insight of non-self. Not that you do not exist, but that the things you take to be solid and separate are actually fluid and interconnected. Emotions do not have fixed identities. They are processes, not objects. They are movements of energy and attention, arising and passing in conditions. When you stop insisting that emotions have clear borders, something softens. You do not need to defend yourself against them. You do not need to control them. You can let them move through you the way wind moves through an open window. This does not mean you become passive. It means you stop adding a second layer of struggle. You stop treating emotions as problems to solve or enemies to defeat. You see them as they are, temporary, conditioned, empty of solid self. The next time you feel something strong, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, where does this begin? Where does it end? Do not rush to answer. Simply look. Let the question open your attention. You may not find clear edges. You may find only movement, only change. And in that seeing, the grip of identification loosens. The emotion is still present, but you are no longer fused with it. You are the space in which it arises, not the thing itself. When an emotion rises, anger, fear, sadness, longing, it can feel like the only thing that exists. The body tightens, the mind narrows, everything you see is colored by what you feel. In that moment, you are not observing the emotion. You are inside it. You become it. This is not a failure. It is what the mind does. Emotions are strong. They arrive with sensation, with story, with urgency. They tell you this is all there is, and when you believe them, there is no distance. There is no room to see. The early teachings offer something simple. The breath is always here, unchanged by what you feel. Return to it again and again. Not because the breath will make the emotion disappear. Not because breathing is a cure, but because the breath is steady. It moves in and out, whether you are calm or terrified. It does not wait for permission. It does not require you to be different than you are. Think of a tree trunk in a storm. The wind pulls at the branches. The leaves scatter, Rain lashes the bark, but the trunk remains. It does not resist the storm. It does not collapse under it. It is simply there, rooted, while everything moves around it. The breath is like that. Emotions are the storm. Thoughts are the wind. Sensations are the rain, and the breath is the trunk. Steady, present, unchanged. You do not need to calm the storm. You do not need to stop the wind. You only need to find the trunk. Here is the practice. During any emotion, place your attention on 3 full breaths. Do not try to slow them. Do not try to deepen them. Do not make them smooth or peaceful. Just feel them as they are. 1 breath in, 1 breath out. That is the first. 1 breath in. 1 breath out. That is the second. 1 breath in, 1 breath out. That is the third. You may notice the emotion is still there. You may notice it has softened. You may notice it has changed shape. None of that matters. What matters is that for 3 breaths, you were not inside the emotion. You were beside it. You were feeling the breath while the emotion was also present. This is not detachment. This is not coldness. This is the beginning of space. When you place attention on the breath, you are not rejecting what you feel. You are not pretending it is not there. You are simply offering your attention something stable to rest on. The emotion does not need to be solved. It does not need to be understood. It only needs to be seen, and the breath allows you to see it. At first, this will feel impossible. The emotion will pull you back in. You will take 1 breath and forget the second. You will start to think about why you feel this way, or what you should do about it, or whether you are doing the practice correctly. That is normal. When you notice you have drifted, return to the breath. Not with frustration, not with judgment. Just return. The breath does not mind how many times you leave. It is always here. Over time, something shifts. The emotion still comes. But you begin to notice it arriving. You feel the tightness in the chest before the story begins. You sense the heat before the anger takes shape. And in that small gap, you remember the breath. 3 breaths. That is all. Not 10. Not a full meditation, just 3. This is how you stop identifying with emotions, not by pushing them away, not by understanding them perfectly, but by returning again and again to something that does not change when they arrive. The breath is the reference point. It is always steady. It is always here. You do not need to believe this. You only need to try it. The next time an emotion rises, place your attention on 3 breaths. Feel them move. Let the emotion be there. And notice what happens when you are no longer alone inside the storm. There is a moment that passes so quickly you might not notice it. Something painful arises, a wave of shame, a stab of loneliness, a tight knot of fear. And before you can even name it, you've already pushed it away. You distract yourself. You argue with it. You tell yourself it shouldn't be there. And in that instant, the door closes. The emotion doesn't leave. It just goes underground, carrying whatever it came to show you. This happens so often, it feels normal. Pain arrives, and the reflex is immediate. Get rid of it. But in that speed, in that automatic turning away, you lose something. You never learn what the pain is made of. You never see what it's asking for. You never discover that it might soften if you simply stayed. There's a teaching that says suffering met with kindness reveals its own medicine, not fought with, not fixed, met. The way you might meet a friend at the door. The teaching doesn't promise that pain will vanish. It suggests something quieter, that pain, when received with care, often carries what you need to understand it. Think of a small child crying in a room alone. The crying doesn't stop because the child decides to stop. It stops when someone comes, when someone sits down, when someone holds the child and breathes steadily and says nothing at all. The child feels the warmth. The child feels the rhythm of another person's breath, and slowly, without force, the crying eases. Emotions work the same way. When you turn toward them instead of away, when you offer them your attention instead of your resistance, something shifts. Not always right away, not always completely, but the quality changes. The emotion is no longer an enemy. It's just a part of your experience, asking to be seen. You can try this the next time something difficult arises. Place one hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of your palm against your chest. Feel the rise and fall of your breath beneath your hand. You don't have to like the emotion. You don't have to want it there. You're simply acknowledging that it is there. You're offering it the same kindness you would offer that crying child. Breathe with it, not to make it go away, just to be with it. Let your breath be steady and soft. Let your hand rest there as long as you need. Notice what happens when you stop pushing. Notice if the emotion changes shape. Notice if it softens, even slightly, when it's no longer being shoved into the dark. This isn't about becoming good at feeling bad. It's about learning that you can turn toward your own experience without being destroyed by it. That you can touch pain without drowning in it. That emotions, even hard ones, are not solid. They move. They shift. They reveal layers you couldn't see when you were busy fighting them. Sometimes what you find is simple. The loneliness just wanted to be acknowledged. The fear just needed a moment of your attention. The shame was covering something tender that never got a chance to speak. When you stop identifying with the emotion, when you stop saying, "I am angry," and start noticing anger is here, you create a little space. And in that space, you can breathe. You might notice that the emotion isn't you. It's weather passing through. It has a beginning. It has a middle. If you stay with it, it has an end. But you can only see this if you're willing to stay. If you're willing to stop running long enough to let it show you what it is. This takes practice. Your habit is old and fast. But each time you place your hand on your heart, each time you breathe with what's hard instead of against it, you're learning. You're teaching yourself that pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. And that the kindness you offer yourself in these moments is not weakness. It's the medicine the teaching speaks of. You don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to do it every time. Just once is enough to see that it's possible. That you can meet yourself with curiosity instead of fear. That you can turn toward what hurts and find that you're still here, still breathing, still whole. You feel sad, and suddenly you are sadness. You feel anger, and you become the anger. Fear arrives, and there is no difference anymore between you and the fear. The emotion fills the space so completely that it seems to be all there is. This happens quickly. One moment you are here, the next moment you are lost inside the feeling. You forget that something is watching. You forget that there is a place from which the emotion is seen. In Zen, there is a teaching about mirrors. The mirror reflects all things but is stained by none. A beautiful face appears in the mirror, and the mirror shows it. An ugly face appears, and the mirror shows that too. Joy, sorrow, rage, tenderness, all pass across the surface. But the mirror itself does not become joyful or sorrowful. It does not take on the qualities of what it reflects. You might think this is cold, but it is not cold. It is simply true. When you feel grief, something knows that grief is present. When you feel excitement, something registers that excitement is here. That knowing is not grief. That knowing is not excitement. It is the space in which these things appear. Think of a movie screen. The screen shows fire, but it does not burn. It shows water, but it does not get wet. The most violent scene plays out, and when the film ends, the screen is unchanged. It was never in danger. It was never harmed. Awareness is like that screen. All the movies of your life play across it. Fear, loneliness, irritation, love. They all appear, move, and dissolve. But awareness itself is not altered by what it holds. You have spent so much time watching the movie that you forgot the screen exists. You thought you were the character on the screen. You thought you were the plot. But you are not the plot. You are the space in which the plot unfolds. This is not something you need to believe. You can test it. You can sit quietly and see for yourself. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. Sit with your back straight but not rigid. Let your hands rest. Close your eyes or lower your gaze. For 10 minutes, do nothing but notice. Notice what arises. A thought comes, notice that a thought is here. A sensation in the body appears. Notice that. An emotion moves through. Notice it. Do not try to change anything. Do not push anything away. Do not hold on. Just notice. And as you notice, begin to sense the noticing itself. What is it that sees the thought? What is it that feels the emotion? Where is the awareness that holds all of this? You will not find it as an object. You cannot point to it. But you can rest in it. You can feel its presence the way you feel space in a room. The emotion will still be there. The thought will still come. But there will be a gap now, a little distance. Not the distance of pushing away, but the distance of perspective. You are not inside the emotion. The emotion is inside awareness. This awareness is always here. It was here before the emotion arrived. It will be here after the emotion fades. It does not come and go the way feelings come and go. When you rest in this, something softens. The urgency drops away. You do not need to fix the emotion or figure it out or make it mean something about who you are. It is just weather. It is just a wave on the surface. You are the depth beneath the wave. Sit for 10 minutes. Let the silence teach you. Let the space reveal itself. You do not need to do this perfectly. You do not need to achieve a special state. Just sit and notice the awareness that is already here, holding everything, touched by nothing. You feel anxious and immediately you want it gone. You feel happy and you grip it tightly, hoping it stays. This is so ordinary you might not even notice it happening. But underneath almost every emotion, there is a second movement. A reaching toward what feels good, a pushing away from what feels bad. And this reaching, this pushing, is where the trouble begins. The Buddha pointed to this pattern again and again. Clinging to pleasure and pushing away pain, we create our own turmoil. Not the emotion itself, but what we do with it, how we relate to it, the wanting it to be different. You might think the emotion is the problem, the anger, the sadness, the fear. But watch closely. The emotion arises. It has a texture, a temperature, a location in the body. And then, almost instantly, you are leaning away from it or pulling it closer. You are saying yes or no. You are trying to manage it, control it, make it stop or make it last. This is craving. Not just for food or comfort, but for a different feeling than the one you have right now. Think of an itch. When it first appears, it is just a sensation. A little tingle, a bit of heat. But you scratch it. And for a moment, there is relief. Then the itch returns, stronger. So you scratch again, harder this time. The skin gets raw. The itch spreads. What started as a small discomfort becomes something you cannot stop thinking about. You are caught in a loop. The scratching was supposed to help, but it only made things worse. Resisting emotions works the same way. You feel irritation and you tell yourself you should not feel this way. You tighten against it. You distract yourself. You argue with it in your mind. And the irritation does not dissolve. It thickens. It becomes something you are now fighting. The resistance itself becomes a second layer of suffering. Or you feel a moment of peace and you want to hold on to it. You try to recreate the conditions. You replay what you were thinking, where you were sitting, what you were doing, and the peace slips away. The grasping itself disturbs the stillness. This is not your fault. It is what minds do. They reach for comfort and pull away from discomfort. It is automatic, but you can begin to see it. And in seeing it, something shifts. The practice is simple. When an emotion arises, notice if there is a wanting for it to stop, a wanting for it to continue, a wanting for it to be different in some way. You do not need to stop the wanting. You do not need to fix it. Just name it quietly, wanting this to stop, wanting this to stay, wanting to feel something else. This is not about judgment. You are not doing anything wrong by wanting. You are just looking clearly at what is happening. The emotion is here. The wanting is here. Both are present. Both are just movements in experience. When you name the wanting, you step back slightly. You are no longer fused with it. You are not the one who must make the emotion go away. You are the one noticing that there is an urge to make it go away. This is a different position entirely. You might notice that the wanting has its own feeling, a tightness in the chest, a tension in the jaw, a restlessness in the hands. The wanting is not separate from the body. It lives there. And when you feel it directly, without trying to change it, it often softens on its own. The emotion itself may not disappear. Sadness may still be sadness. Anxiety may still be anxiety. But you are no longer adding fuel to it. You are no longer scratching the itch. You are letting it be what it is, for as long as it is here. This is where identification begins to loosen. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are the space in which anger and fear arise. And when you stop insisting that they leave, they move through more easily. They do not stick. They do not define you. The wanting to change what is happening, the desire for a different feeling, the aversion to discomfort. This is what keeps you tangled. When you see this clearly, you see how much of your suffering is optional, not all of it, but more than you thought. You notice sadness arrive, and within seconds you become the sadness. There is no space between the feeling and the sense of who you are. The emotion fills you completely, and you forget that anything else exists. This happens with anger too, with anxiety, with loneliness. The feeling comes and you are inside it so quickly that you cannot remember how you got there. You may have heard that you are not your emotions. You may have read that you can observe feelings without becoming them. And perhaps for a moment, during meditation or in a quiet hour, you actually felt that space. You saw the anger as anger, not as yourself. You watched sadness move through like weather. It was clear. It was liberating. But the next day or the next hour, the old pattern returned. You forgot. The emotion arrived and you were inside it again, identified, merged, lost. This forgetting is not a failure. It is the nature of the mind. Freedom is not found once. It is remembered 1,000 times. In the early teachings, practitioners were not promised a single breakthrough that would end all confusion. They were taught to return, again and again, to notice when they had wandered into identification and to gently come back, not with frustration, not with the belief that they should have mastered this by now, just a quiet return. Think of training a puppy to stay. You ask the puppy to sit. The puppy sits for a moment, then bounds off toward a sound or a smell. You do not scold the puppy, you do not decide the puppy is broken, you simply guide the puppy back. Sit, stay. The puppy wanders again. You guide it back again. This is the training. Not the moment the puppy stays perfectly still, but the patient return over and over. Your attention is like this. It wanders into emotion. It merges with the feeling and forgets that it can observe. Then, at some point, you notice. You see that you have been inside the anger, believing you are the anger. And in that noticing, there is a small gap, not a permanent gap, not enlightenment. Just a momentary space where you can see the emotion as an experience, not as your identity. This is the practice. Each time you notice identification with emotion, you simply begin again. You do not judge yourself for having forgotten. You do not add a second layer of frustration about the fact that you are still struggling with this. You just notice. And you return. You might return to the breath. A few quiet breaths feeling the air move in and out, reminding you that there is a body here, a process here that is larger than the emotion. You might return to the body itself, noticing the tightness in your chest or the heat in your face, sensing the physical dimension of the feeling without the story. You might simply name it: anger, sadness, fear. Not to push it away, but to create a small distinction between the one who is aware and the thing being noticed. Aversion will come. You will not want to feel the emotion, you will want it gone. And then you will feel aversion towards your aversion, frustration that you are still resisting, still not accepting, still not free. This too is just another place where you have identified, you have become the aversion. And so you return again. You notice, you soften, you begin again. There is no moment when this practice is finished. There is no day when you will wake up and never again identify with an emotion. This is not the goal. The goal is the return itself. The gentle, patient guidance back to awareness. 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Each return is not a failure. Each return is the practice. The puppy wanders. You guide it back. The attention merges with emotion. You notice and return. This is how freedom is remembered. Not once, but over and over, in the small moments when you see that you have wandered and you choose, without judgment, to come back. You feel something rise inside you, anger maybe, or sadness, or fear, and almost immediately you begin searching. You ask yourself why it's here. You wonder what it means about you. You try to trace it back to its source or forward to its solution. The emotion becomes a problem to solve, and you become the one who must solve it. This searching feels necessary. It feels like the work of being awake. But notice what happens in the body while you search. The chest tightens, the breath shortens, the mind speeds up, scanning for answers, for relief, for some final understanding that will make the feeling go away or make sense of who you are. There is an old teaching in Zen that points to something simpler. When you stop asking who you are, you find what you have always been, not as a reward for stopping, not as something earned, but as what remains when the question itself is set down. You don't have to believe this, you can test it. The next time an emotion arrives, notice the impulse to figure it out. Notice the voice that says, "Why am I feeling this?" Or "What does this say about me?" That voice is not wrong. It is only doing what it has learned to do. But you can choose not to follow it. Instead, you can sit. You can feel the emotion in the body. Heaviness in the chest, heat in the face, tightness in the throat. You can let it be exactly as it is, without naming it, without improving it, without pushing it away. You are not trying to become someone who doesn't feel. You are simply noticing that the feeling is here and you are here, and neither one needs to be different. This is like coming home after a long journey. You have been traveling through thoughts, through stories, through endless questions about who you are and why you feel what you feel. And then you stop. You open the door. You step inside. The awareness that notices the emotion has been here all along. It was never lost. You were simply looking past it, searching for something more. The emotion does not define you. It moves through you. It arises because conditions have come together. It will fade because conditions change. This is not a belief. This is what happens when you watch closely. The anger that felt so solid a moment ago softens. The sadness that seemed permanent shifts. Not because you fixed it, because you stopped clinging to it as proof of who you are. You can practice this now. Sit without agenda. Let your breath move as it moves. Let your body rest as it rests. If an emotion is present, let it be present. If a thought arises about the emotion, let the thought be there too. You are not trying to empty yourself. You are simply allowing everything to be exactly as it is, including yourself. There is no final answer to find. No perfect understanding that will end the search. The search itself is what keeps you from resting. When you stop searching, even for a moment, you notice something quiet underneath. Not a thing, not a self, just the simple fact of being aware. The emotion is known, the thought is known, the body is known, and the knowing itself asks for nothing. You don't have to hold this perfectly. You will forget, you will search again. That's fine. Each time you notice the searching, you can choose to stop. Each time you stop, you rest. And in that rest, there is no problem to solve. There is only this: breath, sensation, awareness, exactly as it is. There is no final moment when you stop identifying with emotions forever. This is not a graduation. It is more like learning to recognize a familiar doorway. At first you walk past it, then one day you notice it, then you forget again, then you remember. This is how it goes. Each time you catch yourself in the middle of being your anger, being your sadness, being your restlessness, something quiet shifts, not dramatically. You simply see that you are watching. The emotion is still present, but there is space around it now. That space was always there. You are just learning to feel it. Sometimes the identification returns immediately. You see the space, then collapse back into the feeling. This is not failure. This is the practice. The returning matters more than the staying. Each return is a small bow to what is true. The breath helps because it never pretends to be you. It moves without asking permission. It does not require your belief. When you are lost inside a feeling that seems absolute and permanent, the breath is still there, just breathing. You can return to it the way you return to a quiet room in a loud house. Impermanence becomes tender when you stop fighting it. The emotion that felt so solid 5 minutes ago has already shifted. Maybe only slightly. Maybe it has changed shape or temperature or intensity. Nothing stays exactly as it was. This is not something to fear. It is the nature of all conditioned things. When you see this clearly again and again, the grip loosens. Not because you are forcing it to loosen, but because you see that there is nothing to hold. You may notice that some emotions return often, the same flavor of anxiety, the same shade of loneliness. This does not mean you are doing it wrong. These are patterns, grooves worn into the mind by repetition. They do not define you. They are weather passing through. Each time they arise, you have the chance to meet them differently. Not with resistance, not with identification, just with seeing. There will be days when you forget everything, when you are completely swept into the story of the emotion, convinced again that this is who you are, that this will never change. That is all right. The teaching is patient. It does not leave. When you remember, even for a moment, you are already back in the practice. Gradually, something shifts in the background. You may not notice it directly, but you begin to meet your inner life with a little less urgency, a little more space. The emotions still come. They may come just as strongly, but you are not so quickly convinced that they are the whole truth. You start to sense the difference between feeling something and being something. This is not detachment in the cold sense. It is intimacy without fusion. You can feel deeply without disappearing into the feeling. You can care without losing yourself. This is where compassion lives. Not in the idea of compassion, but in the actual capacity to be present with what arises in yourself and in others without needing it to be different right away. The practice continues. There is no endpoint where you arrive and rest forever. But the continuing itself becomes lighter. You are not climbing towards some distant peak. You are learning to walk on the ground you are already standing on. If you find this useful, you might continue with another exploration. There are other threads to follow, other ways to meet the mind with gentleness. But there is no rush. What you have touched here does not go away. It is always available in any moment, with any breath. For now, let yourself rest in the quiet that follows. You do not need to do anything with what you have heard. Let it settle, the way dust settles in still air. The understanding will find its own way into your life in its own time. Thank you for listening. May you meet yourself with kindness. May you know the space that holds all things. May you return again and again to the simple truth of this moment.